Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode here at WILDMAN Lifts. I'm your host, WILDMAN. Now, since starting my channel and my Instagram, I get a lot of questions. And what I try to do every once in a while is answer those questions in a Q&A format. So I thought today would be a good day, since I've been pondering my life recently, to answer some of those questions. And I'm going to take the top 3. And if you have any other questions that you want to ask me, go ahead and submit them in the comments or leave a direct message on my Instagram, and I will try to get to those and sort those out. So here we go. So the first question that I get a lot is about creatine and whether or not it's a good idea to be on creatine. Now I'm going to give you my most honest opinion about creatine. First of all, I think we're talking about creatine monohydrate because I really don't know much about the other creatines, but creatine monohydrate is the most backed by scientific research and actual test subjects than any other supplement on the market that's over the counter. You can buy creatine at Vitamin Shop, GNC, and other sport supplement stores. Creatine monohydrate is probably the most available than any other substance, especially when you start mixing creatine with other things like creatine nitrate and other things that I don't really know too much about, nor do they have the backing as much as creatine monohydrate. So when it comes to creatine monohydrate, there's going to be a point, if you're a natural lifter or a natty, where you're going to plateau. Plateau means your bone structure, your bone density, your genetics are going to prevent you from achieving anything beyond what you're trying to do. It could be in running, swimming, other endurance sports, or in strength sports, strongman, powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, CrossFit. Eventually your genetics and everything about your physical structure is going to shut you down. It is what it is. That's just called life. Now, when that happens and you keep training and you keep trying all the scientifically proven strength programs out there and you can't break those plateaus, creatine will absolutely help you. And it's going to boost muscle strength and muscle endurance, causing you to be a stronger and better performance athlete. So why do people think creatine is bad? So if you're a sedentary person, meaning you don't do much, you just walk and that's your only form of exercise, yes, creatine is probably not a good choice for you. If you are a beginning strength athlete and you're trying to progress and you haven't reached your full progression without creatine, then I would recommend that you get to a point where you plateau and you can no longer make strength gains. Then start doing your research, talk to your doctor, and see if creatine is a substance that will help you increase into the next level. As long as you're working out enough, your creatine levels will stay down because they'll be depleted from your strength training or your other type of programming. I'm not a medical professional, but I am a strongman enthusiast, and I do personally take creatine, and I can definitely tell a difference when I'm not on creatine. Hopefully that is the best answer that I can give you. The second question I actually really like because it's within my wheelhouse of what I actually know. And that is, what is the purpose of lifting these stones? What does it actually do? Will it help your deadlift? Will it help your bench press? Will it help your back squat? If you train in back squat, bench pressing, and deadlifting as a power lifter, no, stones will not help you in those sports. As a matter of fact, you may actually experience more fatigue because this could be a very fatiguing exercise that it might actually hinder your performance in those other 3 lifts. If you're a power lifter, stick to the basics, which is improving in those 3 strength areas and not on lifting a stone. Now, if you're a strongman, you're gonna see stones a lot, especially in competition. Stones are always the last thing to do in an event when it comes to World's Strongest Man. And that's kind of repeated throughout most shows. Then there's also variation of stone lifts. There's stone pressing to overhead, stone to shoulder, stone to platforms. There's many, or stones over a bar. There's many ways to test stones. There's even carrying stones for distance. Stones are a natural part of strongman and determines one's strength when it comes to strongman. Now, the question is, does it make you stronger? And the answer is yes, it does. And as a matter of fact, I think that it makes you stronger and is a better test of strength than those other 3 barbell movements that I just mentioned. I've come across individuals that can deadlift, back squat, and bench press more than I can. But when we go and try to pick up a stone, they absolutely don't know what to do. They're lost. They don't know how to use their whole body, and they don't know how to make that strength a sufficient output for them. There's also been times when I've wrestled around with powerlifters before who don't do anything else. They don't do jiu-jitsu or some type of other contact sport where they learn how to utilize their body and how to move mass from one place to another. Usually powerlifters are pretty stiff. They're only good in those 3 lifts. And when I go to wrestle with them or move them, they don't know how to stop me or how to move me back, right? They're not very functional in their strength. So I would actually argue that stone training will make a more functional strength athlete. In my opinion, if you're able to take a 220-pound stone and you're able to get it to your shoulder very efficiently, you're going to have absolutely no problem picking up a 220-pound person who doesn't want to move. That's one of the benefits I love about strongman. Strongman is absolutely the best sport if you want to figure out how to carry awkward objects for distance and how to push or pull things that typically don't want to be moved. So the answer is yes, lifting a stone will absolutely make you stronger. In fact, a better strength functionally than any other barbell movement can. But it's still necessary to train in those barbell movements to overload the muscles in a safe manner. And that's why I still utilize the barbells in order to get stronger. But when it comes to the actual functionality of it, stone lifting, logs, circus dumbbell, and those kind of strongman movements actually are better for maximal output of strength than barbell lifting, in my opinion. Now, the last question that I have is, since I started the docuseries, is my opinions about the carnivore diet changing? Or do I still keep the same opinion that Frank's carnivore diet will be unable to sustain him in the future when we move into the intermediate levels? To tell you the truth, I'm kind of 50-50. I've trained Frank before in the novice and the beginner stage. So I've done tough 6 with Frank, and I've also done 5x5. So I know for a fact that his carnivore diet will give him the gains there and support his nutrition because I've seen it happen. And the fact that Frank's been on that diet for almost 2 years speaks volumes to the validity of this diet. However, once Frank is done with 5x5, we are going to then move into the intermediate level, and there's 3 levels of that. And that actually requires a lot more eating and a lot more carbs and a lot more veggies and starches and everything else because he's going to be growing in size. I used to weigh as much as Frank did. And when I wanted to get to my weight, I would bulk in the winter and eat clean in the summer. And what happened was I eventually went from 185 to 225, and now I'm 230. But I've been at this weight for like the last 4 years. I haven't really grown much the last 4 years. I've just been improving in my lifts at this weight. And when we get into the intermediate phase with Frank, he's going to be gaining weight, and he's going to need to have something that's going to fuel him for the next day of training because it's going to get very tough. But I am optimistic that Frank can do it. Number 1, he's got the mindset to do it. And number 2, he truly believes that his diet will get him through it. So because of those 2 factors, we're going to continue on with this science experiment probably until the end of next year. So this should be pretty exciting. All right, so I hope that answered your questions, and I will see you next time.